Let him go. Let's go to Dino in Oregon. Dino in Oregon, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, AJ, thanks for taking my call. You are a household name here in our home. Every day we listen to you because it is a gathering place of our peeps, the Liberty people out there in America. Every time I hear a caller, I get excited. I love it when female callers call because you can see the spark of liberty that we need in that female side. And, you know, I woke up to you just after 2001, September 11th. I was listening to my roommate on the Internet. He was listening to some guy scream and yell, and I thought, this guy's Christian. He's nuts. I don't want to listen to this crap. But he said, sit down and watch his film. So I watched 9/11 Road to Tyranny, and it woke me up to Oklahoma City, which is right there in your face. And I thought, how could this be right there in your face and no one's doing anything about it? And then I looked into 9/11, and then so on and so forth. I've read every document.
All of that just sets a precedent for the elite. If they get away with doing Oklahoma City, why not 9/11? If they get away with torture, why, again, they're setting the precedent to continue all of this.
And the end justifies the means is a theme that I see throughout, from the lower levels all the way up. I got rid of our television. We got rid of cable because that's the same thing. End justifies the means. They spread pedophilia all over. ABC, Disney. It's disgusting. You can't even go to the store anymore. So I'm just saying, people, we have to listen to Professor Alex. You are like our daily class in liberty. But then once we're done listening to you, we need to get out there and talk to people and spread the message to everyone you talk to. I want to
say this. We're all teachers and we're all students together here.
Yes.
You're a professor. I'm a teacher. I'm a learner. I'm a student. All of us are symbiotically learning from each other, developing the information, studying the enemy's operations, how they control populations. We're doing all this together right now.
Once we know the truth, too, and people, don't be afraid to just talk. It'll come out of your mouth. It'll come out of your brain. Jesse Ventura said it. When you're speaking the truth, it just comes. I don't need notes. I know the places and times and faces.
Exactly.
I know what's going on in the world.
Everywhere he goes, they got teleprompters. People notice that, so they move big jumbotrons back behind him so you can read it from far away, and then ask the media not to show them. That's on record. Because and then people are like, he's not just saying it from the heart. No, it's all scripted. It's all been analyzed psychologically to manipulate. It's all deception.
And the truth comes out no matter where we put it. You can post it on Craigslist. The truth is now, and I tell people, I even go to bands after they're playing and they sit down and I say, one of the hottest messages right now is a liberty message, and I talk about the New World Order, and they get it. If you explain it right, people get it, and they know they've been fooled. This whole socialism and communism and socialism are the same thing. We know that. And the next step is fascism, and we can't stand to let that happen.
Exactly, and they confuse you and act like fascism and socialism and all this isn't interconnected where it comes from the same place. Great call, Dino. Good to hear from you. Steve in Tennessee, you're on the air. Go ahead, Steve. You're on the air.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Good, sir. Good to hear from you.
This is Steve Norris, another brother. I'm sure, possibly you've heard my name before. Dino pretty well hit the nail on the head. He had a good call in there. Getting your name out is our objective. That's what has to happen. Vistaprint.com is cheap. You can literally get 10,000 business cards with whatever you want on them for a little over $100, and getting the word out. It's going and talking to strangers. Whatever it takes. In my opinion, the people must create their own G20. Communicate with other G20s. That's a way to come across. Get to know your neighbors. Go out and talk to them. What they want is everybody to stay to themselves, be scared of who to talk to, divide and conquer. That's their agenda, and we got to fight that. Talk to your neighbors, talk to strangers. That's what I've been doing. I've passed out literally tens of thousands of cards with all the information on them. I don't know how many DVDs I've done, thousands.
Well, it's having a huge effect. We've got Rick Perry, the Bilderberg Group member, coming out saying, I'm going to fight tyranny. We may secede. And I told folks it was just a stunt. He's now admitting he was just, quote, joking. But the point is, Sean Hannity's saying the conspiracy people are right about a new world order. Glenn Beck's having to do it because they're having to at least pay lip service because we are the majority now of thinkers. You got the majority that aren't informed and don't care, but of people awake. to the political system. We are now the majority. We've just got to act like it. And, sir, it's because of people like you and what you're out there doing. So I salute you.
Well, I appreciate that. And what we have to do, Alex, is the in-your-face operative, just like they're doing to us. They do the in-your-face. That's exactly how they operate. That's what we need to do back. We got to wake up people and kind of make them understand. We're all on the same goal here. It's for our children. It doesn't have anything to do with me or you. It has everything to do with our children and grandchildren is what's going to be the success of this country and our sovereignty and being independent and having the freedom and being able to have the American dream. We're separate. We're different from any other country in this world. And the only way we're going to keep that is to wake up now and make things happen. Truth is what it is.
Hey, let me ask you a question since you're calling from Tennessee, Steve. Remember a couple of weeks ago it was announced they were going to have regular Army running checkpoints. We had a state rep on. He talked to the governor.
Memphis.
Yeah, the governor came out and said, we're not going to do this. And then I got the Marion County News and other newspapers, and they just came out and said, well, the Army did it anyways. The Air Force MPs, and it describes how they shut down the highway on Interstate 24 eastbound, mile marker 135, and how the Army was out there and how they were out there searching everybody. And it's got here's the base police off base with a dog searching Americans. I mean, can you believe the governor told them not to do it? And they just did it anyways. I mean, these people are out of control.
Again, what I'm saying, it's in your face, operative. That's how they operate. That's what they do. And the only way we're going to beat these people is by numbers. We have to operate in numbers. We have to, target. I tell you, something that I have here is very fortunate. This particular area is home to a lot of major business owners. Pilot Oil Corporation, BP, British Petroleum, Goodies, for example. There's a lot of major business owners in this area, and I'm the type. I'll walk straight up in and I'll talk to whoever and wake them up. And when you get major business owners involved who have a lot of capital is on our side, and they need to spend it while they can, while the green's still good. And they're upset. They don't tell everybody how they're feeling when they're feeling it because they're a business owner. They can't exploit their feelings, but you got to bring it out of them. And
absolutely. I mean, if we just sit here and take this, literally, we're going to be looted. And I appreciate your call, sir. Good to hear from you. Keep it up. We're going to go to Mark, Bethany, Margaret, and Corey, but I promised to do this, so I want to do it now. In the first hour, I went over the dark seduction, how the New World Order brings people into evil, how they leaked the torture on purpose, how they bragged they were torturing children. And then now they release the White House memos about how Bush wanted to be a dictator and ban free speech and ban the media. Then I have mainstream news, LA Times, coming out and saying, oh, yeah, the only way to save the newspapers is to basically ban other people and not let them say they're reporters and have the government license reporters. So I've got all this free speech news I want to go over. I'm going to go over that with Raleigh James coming up. But more of your calls will come up in a moment. Right now, I wanted to play for radio listeners, you'll be able to hear the audio, but for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers, this is the extra, one of the extras from my 3-hour film, 911, Martial Law, Rise of the Police State. It's really 3 films, so it's 911, Martial Law, it's Martial Law, 911, Rise of the Police State. Made so many films, can't remember the names of them. But this is really one of my better films, and really breaks, you watch this one film, you basically get the whole picture. This is the very end. The credits have Bush giving this cryptic speech about a dark cult of evil that thrives off human suffering. He's talking about his own people. And then it goes into the extras, the first extra dealing with torture. We're going to play just a few minutes of this, and then we'll continue with your calls. And Raleigh James, syndicated talk show host, never heard her. Get ready. She's a great lady, very informative, one of the people that helped wake me up. I used to listen to her in college. Back when I was trying to get into radio and TV, I was listening to her when she was in Austin. But let's go ahead and play part of my film, Martial Law, 911, Rise of the Police State, going out of the credits into the first extra, where they are breaking pro-lifers sitting in front of buildings' doors or on the sidewalk, and they say, get up and walk. Oh, you won't get up and walk? I'm going to break your arm. And see, that's what the taser is. Oh, don't tase me, bro. Oh, you shouldn't ask the question of Kerry. We're now going to taser you as punishment. See, the taser's fine for protection for an officer. But when they're, oh, you didn't walk the yellow line when I gave you an order, bzzz, that's what it's now being used for. Or pregnant women, you argue with me, you didn't move quick enough, you didn't get up off a park bench fast enough. Well, again, they call this pain compliance, pressure compliance. This is one of the extras from my film, 911. Martial law, 911 rise of the police state. Here it is.
Behind them is a cult of evil, which seeks to harm the innocent and thrives on human suffering.
To purchase additional copies of this film, or to see dozens of other films and important books, be sure and visit Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com.
I forgot there was this ad in between it.
1-888-888.
That's good, though.
253-3139.
All right, here's the extras, because they've kind of got it in the playthrough modes that go on the extras. Again, this is from my film, Martial Law, 911, Rise of the Police State. Here it is, the extras.
The globalists have been systematically engaging in a massive brainwashing campaign, telling the public that torture is a good idea. And now we've seen the aftermath of torture. The Joseph Mengele-style abuses include killing detainees and harvesting their organs. But they don't just torture people to death. They do things so horrible we can't even mention them here. And there's no mystery when it comes to finding out who ordered all of this ultra-brutal torture at Camp X-Ray at Guantanamo Bay and Gitmo and 32 other camps in Iraq. Alberto Gonzales and Chertoff and the rest of Bush's crew openly wrote memos detailing how torturing people unto death is an okay thing to do. It's part of the public record. The White House and Pentagon ordered the torture, but when they got caught, they just burned a few of their underlings. The Pentagon's own reports admit that 90% of those that were picked up at checkpoints in Iraq were totally innocent. But that didn't stop them from being tortured. In fact, the Army's own report admits that military dogs were used to bite and frighten detainees, that women were brutally raped, that detainees were beaten to death and sodomized with large objects dripping with battery acid. People's children were also raped in front of them to attain answers. This is the same type of mentality we see from serial killers, and it's riddled with all sorts of perverted sexual abuse. Is this what the land of the free and the home of the brave has become? After 13 years of sanctions, over 1.5 million Iraqis died, 700,000 of them children. And now thousands of private contractors have taken over the torture where the Pentagon left off, following in the footsteps of other famous control freak serial killers and torturers. The only reason the elite is selling us on torture is because they want to condition us to where we will accept its use against us. And it's been going on for decades in America, in the prisons, and against pro-life demonstrators, environmental activists, and anyone else that doesn't totally submit to their tyranny. The footage you're seeing is from the late 1980s and early 1990s, where the police openly pulled out nunchucks, started wrapping it around the arms of peaceful pro-life demonstrators and brutally breaking them, simply because they refused to get off the side of the sidewalk. The police thought it was their right to break people's arms because they didn't follow their orders.
They used nunchucks on the rescuers. This is an illegal martial arts weapon, and merely possessing one in California is a felony. To be attacked with one is assault with a deadly weapon. Never before in the history of America have nunchucks been used on non-violent protesters. This is the gruesome sight of what happened. The police, in unprovoked cruelty, wrapped the nunchucks around Michael Hausman's arm and broke it. When lawyers went to federal Judge Tashima to request he order the police to cease using them, he denied the request, saying in so many words that pro-lifers could not prove they were in any danger.
I can't tell you what it's like to be lying on the ground with police officers on a top of you, using all sorts of torture holes to make you walk. You can't walk even if you wanted to walk. And their sole intent is to torture you, and then listening to the screams of the people.
When you bring out riot sticks, it's usually because you expect to see some serious opposition, so you put on helmets and you put on face masks and you carry shields. These policemen were bareheaded.
But here it was calculated torture, and the policemen were enjoying the pain. They laughed at the people screaming, and all of us screaming. All are grown men, mature men. You couldn't help but scream. What happened was when the two nightsticks squeezed on the wrists, they cut off the nerve ends and the flow of blood, and your hands swelled up to almost twice the size, and then they turned black.
It didn't matter whether you were a woman, a man, an old person. It didn't matter what your age, sex, or anything, that they were just there. They were going to brutalize everybody. And I think probably to the women more particularly, that they were very angry that they couldn't get a young woman like myself to walk. And I could tell that it was a pride issue.
This is an important illustration because it shows us how long this tyranny has been going on in this country. And if they can get away with it with one group, they can get away with it against everybody. The fact of the matter is the establishment and its enforcers have been setting the precedent for a long time to torture women in plain view of the public, to use illegal nunchucks and break people's arms. And now in Iraq, they have these big live TV shows with all the people confessing.
All right, we'll be
after
right
they've been
back. For
openly
those
tortured.
that aren't watching, they have the nunchucks breaking the arms with pleasure.